This is He Knows Everything, bringing you that heat and fire. All right, let's talk about it. Terrence Crawford, LeBron James, Floyd Mayweather, Michael Jordan. Okay, let's break this down at its truest and its most properest levels. Okay, and what is the truest and the most properest levels? We understand that Floyd Mayweather and Michael Jordan, they represent greatness personification. And greatness personification can only be hindered. The motherfucker can't be stopped. See, greatness personification is actual greatness, is true greatness. It is the embodiment of greatness through hard work and dedication, i.e. Floyd Mayweather, regimented mentality, i.e. Michael Jordan. But when we look at Terrence Crawford, what do we see? We see a snack-filled, PED juiced up using boxer. Let me say it again. We see a snack-filled, PED using filled boxer. But what do we see with LeBron James? We see a self-proclaimed farce GOAT. You see, these supposed shining beacons that they've presented in front of you, right? i.e. farces, i.e. frauds, and i.e. the Terrence Crawfords of the world, and i.e. LeBron James of the world. They can't hold a candle to the Floyd Mayweathers of the world. They can't hold a candle to the Michael Jordans of the world. When you sit here and you try to make a comparison between Michael Jordan and LeBron James, it's like oil mixed with water. You know, it doesn't add up. When you sit there and you talk about Floyd Mayweather and the comparisons with him and Terrence Crawford, it's like apples and oranges. And we know apples exist for a certain reason. And we know oranges exist for certain reasons. They're two different fruits that have two different functionalities for a certain reason. Well, that's Floyd Mayweather. Well, that's Terrence Crawford. So when Canelo Alvarez says Terrence Crawford is way, way better than Floyd Mayweather, he's trying to take a dig at the guy who gave the actual blueprint. You can never take a dig at the guy that gave you a master boxing lesson, a PhD ass whooping. Let me say it again. You cannot talk about a guy who gave you a master class boxing lesson and a PhD ass whipping. Floyd beat the snot out of you. And he did it in resounding fashion. A lot of people that watched that Canelo versus Crawford fight said it was a snooze fest. They said it was nothing like what Floyd did to him. Floyd systematically broke this guy down. Crawford got some shots in that may have razzled and dazzled the crowd, but this is what happens when you are a PED juiced up using snack filled fighter. You can go up to another weight class that you've never fought before, and then you can look just as good as you've done in weight classes that you've looked premier in prior. It's a things that make you say, It's a things that make you say, But in its most cold-hearted, visceral form of cutthroat and i.e. truth-telling fashion, we have to ask ourselves, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a guy who has been able to skate, who has been able to get under the radar of cheating. See, Floyd Mayweather is a clean fighter. He has advocated cleanliness in the sport of boxing. Floyd Mayweather has not put any artificial substances in his body. His artificial substance is hard work. You didn't catch that. You see, that's for the real G's, the super real G's, and the ultimate real G's out here in these boxing streets. They would have caught that. Floyd Mayweather's artificial insemination is dedication. Again, the real G's, the super real G's, and the ultimate real G's out here in these boxing streets would catch that. But see, when you sit here and you look at both of these guys, you have to look at the tail of the tape. You have to look at the actual level of opposition that they have faced. Terrence Crawford has fought guys that are either Achilles heels at some point in their career, or guys that he's been able to skate under and have PEDs and have basically artificially enhanced performance enhancement drugs, and i.e. snacks, inseminated in his body so that he can have a distinct advantage. Floyd didn't have that kind of advantage. The advantage that Floyd had was he was a human copy box number in terms of how to systematically break you down from round to round. So basically, it was skills to pay the bills. It was actually what we call greatness personification, i.e. true greatness. Not the fake greatness. Not the AI, the artificial intelligence, and i.e. Terrence Crawford that represents a snack-filled PED juiced up fighter. So you can't compare those two guys. See, one guy's playing on even field playing field parameters. The other guy is playing on uneven playing field parameters. See, Terrence Crawford has a distinct advantage. His distinct advantage is his dirty, asinine, unbelievable. And we can't believe that boxing fans have this nuance where they just want to basically close their eyes to the fact that his association with Victor Conte doesn't make you want to bat your eye and ask questions like, what is going on here? So we have to ask ourselves these questions. Is really Terrence Crawford on the same level as Floyd Mayweather? Or is it just Terrence Crawford fans that are pushing this narrative to try to make you think that a guy who clearly is taking undetectable PEDs, who's clearly juiced up to the gills, who clearly is basically artificially enhanced, is somewhat supposedly on the level of Floyd Mayweather? First of all, we have to dissect these guys' career. Floyd doesn't get hit the way Terrence Crawford gets hit. And last time I checked, when Canelo fought Crawford, Canelo was getting shots off of Crawford. So for Canelo to say that Crawford is better than Floyd, but you was pickpocketing Crawford in that fight. You was actually landing shots on him. You wasn't landing shit on Floyd. You were missing shots after shots to the point that Floyd even looked like this. Let me do it again. He went like this. He looked at the actual ring that you hit, and he looked at it for a minute just to show you how much you was really not touching this guy up. So when we going to sit here, and are we going to sit here and believe the nonsense that Terrence Crawford is on the level of Floyd Mayweather? That's like believing that LeBron James is on the same level as Michael Jordan when he has lost as many finals as Michael Jordan has won. You see, we live in a society. We live in a generation called Generation Z, i.e. Generation Zombies. And the reason why they are zombies is because their brains are like zombies. Have you ever watched the show Walking Dead? This is what this generation embodies, The Walking Dead. Let me say it again. Have you ever watched the show Walking Dead? This generation, with their Rudy Poo and their plum brainisms, with their classic dote and their troglodytisms, they represent The Walking Dead. You hear those zombies. That's how they sound. The reason why they sound like that is because they lack any neurons. There's no neuron receptors. All it is zombie mush. These are the fans that are the ones propagating Terrence Crawford. A bunch of people who are brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo heads who have been neuro-linguistic programmed into believing that you can put these two guys in the same parameters. Floyd Mayweather embarrassed Canelo Alvarez. Floyd Mayweather gave Canelo Alvarez PTSD to the point to where he wouldn't even fight any slick fighter until so many years later when he was reintroduced to a Dimitri Bivol who had a slick European style. And we saw what happened with that. Terence Crawford doesn't get credit for what he did because we saw performances that were way better than what he presented. Bivol embarrassed Canelo Alvarez through and through, line upon line, precept upon precept. Floyd Mayweather, through hard work and dedication. Floyd Mayweather, who surgically demolished Terence Crawford. Because we understand that his surgical application, and i.e. boxing, because when you talk boxing, you talk Floyd Mayweather, and when you talk Floyd Mayweather, you talk boxing, he systematically broke down Canelo Alvarez. He short-circuited him. Terence Crawford didn't do that on September 13, 2025. What we saw was a fixed fight. And that's why you saw the likes of an Aiden Ross basically in the last minutes changed his bet from Canelo to Crawford, because he had insiders information, like I pointed in the last video, that told him that Crawford was going to win because Crawford was juiced to the gills. That's the inside information that Aiden Ross received. That Canelo was basically on nothing. He was actually natural and clean for the fight. So basically it was a pay to lose. Turkey Alex Sheesh should be ashamed of himself, because he basically wanted his guy, Terence Crawford, to win this fight. So instead of giving you guys a fight that really should have been what the outcome should have been, Canelo being too big, Canelo knocking this guy out. If you listen to even the Canelo fans, they're saying the same thing that the Spence fans are saying. But it was interesting that these same Canelo fans did not keep that same energy when it was related and pertained to Earl the True Spence. But notice now it's their fighters.
Go ahead, he knows.
They're speaking another tune, or the same tune, to say Canelo didn't look like Canelo. Aren't you guys seeing a pattern here? Wait, Earl the True Spence didn't look like Earl the True Spence. Canelo didn't look like Canelo. You see, they always say if it looks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, then what is it? It's a motherfucking duck. So let's be honest here. What is the duck in the room? It's Terence Crawford. The reason why Terence Crawford is the duck in the room, and the reason why he's quacking the fact that he is artificially enhanced with PEDs. He's quacking with the fact that he is juiced to the gills. So to sit there and to erroneously, like Canelo Alvarez did, because he was paid to lose. So obviously when you're paid to lose, you're given a script, so you have to follow the script. $150 million, it would make 99.9% of people on this planet follow a fucking script. Let me say it again. $150 million would make 99.9% of people follow a script. So Canelo followed the script to basically say Crawford was way better than Floyd Mayweather. He didn't even believe that bullshit. He didn't even believe that fuck shit. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat truth teller fashion. I keeps the foot on the whoop on the Knicks. I keeps the foot on the whoop on the Knicks. This is He Knows Everything. Checking out.